Welcome to our Courageous Caregiver video podcast. I interview different caregivers that are in our Clark County Family Services group of foster caregivers. And today with me, I'm joined by Laurie. Laurie, thank you for joining me.
Thanks so much, Holly. I appreciate it.
Well, we appreciate everything that you do as a foster caregiver. As many of our viewers know, because I say it every single episode, we have a shortage of foster parents in Clark County. So we really designed this podcast so that way people that are thinking about becoming foster parents can get to know some of our foster caregivers. So hopefully your experience, Laurie, might inspire others to step forward to foster.
I hope so.
I hope so too. So Laurie, why don't we just start casual conversation? Tell me a little bit about your family and why you decided to become a licensed foster parent.
Okay, great. I will start by saying, once upon a time, someone asked me, so what are you doing to make the world a better place? And I realized, not much. And I remembered that my mom was a foster mom, and I decided I wanted to be a foster mom like her because she had a lot of kids in her home, and she cared for a lot of them and was in contact with them forever. And it was something that I already knew I could do and something that I knew we really needed. And I decided to become a foster parent. And it's been about 8 years now, not 7, 8. And it's been one of the hardest jobs I loved ever.
So, of course, our kids in foster care need a safe and temporary loving home. So thank you for providing that. So tell me about your family. Are you a single foster parent? Do you have foster with a partner? What does your situation look like?
I am married. And we have started the fostering process together 8 years ago. And it's been quite an incredible journey. In those 8 years, we have fostered, Tom and I, 27 children in our home.
Wow.
And the last 5 that came, they kind of stuck. So we ended up adopting them because it was a sibling set of 5, and they're kind of hard to place because there are 5 of them. And it's been really great. We've had the kids for 4 years now, and they are so changed, and they are so great, and they are so wonderful, and they have changed me too. And it's just been a really, really amazing situation. We do have one more foster child with us. We only have space for one right now, or I would have lots more. And she's deaf. And she's 13, and she's been with us for a year and a half, and she's getting ready to reunify this month. And I'm so excited for her. I can't wait for that to happen.
Wow, Laurie, you touched on a lot of topics that I want to go a little bit deeper into.
Sure.
And caring for a child, of course, with a very high level of need that is hearing impaired. Let's talk about that first.
Sure.
So when you were approached by Family Services to foster this child with this hearing impairment, what went through your mind and what were those first initial days like? And then how did your family adapt to caring for this child?
It was really, so basically, even though it's been really, really challenging to me to have to grow so I can learn ASL so I can even communicate with her, it's been really, really rewarding. She is such a delight. She brightens up the room when she walks in. And she may not have had the opportunity to do that if she was in a different environment or staying somewhere like Child Haven because nobody knows sign language. So I'm really glad I took the initiative and said, yes, I will take this challenge because it's been nothing but a blessing. Nothing but a blessing.
Laurie, that's incredible. And, you know, I think part of what our foster caregivers are so scared or intimidated by is the unknown. What will it be like when I welcome these children in? What kind of needs will they have? But your story just goes to show that as long as you are trying and you're welcoming and your family is open to caring for a child in need, it'll work out, right? We don't have all the answers before going into this,
does
right?
Any parent, you don't know what you're going to get when you have a baby of your own. You don't know what you're going to get when you meet a new child. You don't know that you're going to need them or they're going to need you, or you're just going to be there for a little while they needed a strong shoulder to cry on for a little bit.
And I think the other thing that you said when you were talking about this girl that you've been fostering is you were able to give her the attention she needed in your home, and that she was not placed at Child Haven, which is our emergency shelter.
Right.
Right. We have on most days around 80 to 100 kids.
I know.
So a child with that kind of high level of need, for you to be able to wrap around her and for your kids to become her friends and for your family to learn American Sign Language and communicate with her, she got the specialized attention that really every child deserves, no matter if you have these high level of needs or not. And I think that, that just speaks to the importance of, we need caregivers, we need homes. Children belong in homes, not in our Child Haven emergency shelter.
Right. I had a conversation with a couple of my kids this morning before I came in, and I asked them, what would they, because they were foster kids, what would they want me to tell people about becoming a foster parent? And little Miss 9-year-old, with her little perky attitude, she said, so that we can have someone to love us no matter what, and keep us together, and so that we can not just be homeless, but not be familyless either.
Wow. Wow, that really leaves me speechless. All the kids want, they just want a family. They want a home. They want to feel like the normalized experience, the joys of childhood. So thank you for providing that. I know your 9-year-old is part of a larger sibling set with 5 children. So Laurie, why is it so important for our kids, our siblings, our brothers and sisters to be able to live together and grow up together? Why is that important in foster care?
Well, I think my 9-year-old said it best when she said, that it's important to have family. We don't want to be familyless. We need to have family. And they've lost so much. They've lost so much already. I wouldn't want to take away their brother or their sister or the baby in the family, because they need to stay together. They really do.
They do. They need to stay together. And, in your case, these children became free for adoption throughout the court process. But a lot of times we see that when siblings can stay together through foster care, that's actually a better outcome for reunification, to go back to that biological family too. So, siblings become each other's support system, especially, when they're going through the chaos of being removed from their biological family. They've been through neglect or trauma, or, there's some sort of unsafe situation that has led them into foster care. So to have their brothers and sisters be there for them, those are family bonds that we want to preserve. So thank you for keeping these kids together, because they're always going to have each other.
That's exactly what I've taught them. It's like, whatever else happens in your life, you guys will have each other. And you need to remember that. And treat each other nice. So I know, because we've talked before, Laurie is not just a foster parent, but she's also a foster parent champion for Clark County. So she is a special type of employee through Clark County that helps to run our foster parent champion hotline. So she actually coaches and helps other foster parents with this role of process. Caring for children. So Laurie and I, just a precursor, we've talked many, many times. So I know some of her experiences, but let's talk about the kids when they first came to you, this specific sibling set, what they were like when they came to you, and how you've supported them, and where they are now. And
the one specific story I'd love to have you talk about is the reading skills.
Okay, excellent. They were in foster care for about 2 years before they came to me because they were a sibling group of 5, and it was really hard to place them. They had been separated a number of times. They had been removed from foster care a couple of times from one foster home to another because of their special needs. And they were behind on everything. They were homeless when they were taken, and they continued to not thrive. And then COVID happened. And when the children came to me in the September after COVID started, we were all doing homeschooling. And the oldest one was 10 at the time. And I'm a big reader. I love studying. I love school. I love education. And I asked him, because what kind of books would you like? I have some like that. What kind? And he said, I can't read. And I'm like, you mean you don't like to read? No, I can't read. I know the ABCs. I know cat, dog, but I can't read. And, he was in 4th grade and COVID, and we were spending time all day, every day in each other's elbows. So I said, I'm going to spend 1 day a week with you. It's going to be your day, and we're just going to work on reading. That was 4th grade. And when he graduated from 5th grade, he won the award for having the best reading word count in the school. Not just his grade, not just his class, but the school. And it was all him.
Well, I beg to differ.
He didn't want to. He chose to. He decided. And if I helped him a little bit to decide that way, that was pretty good.
There's a lot of tears
Sorry.
forming right now. But that's so powerful, Laurie. And again, going back to this is why these children belong in a home.
And
with
a family.
Somebody, because there's illiterate adults. He could have gone on his whole life just pretending to move forward, but you created that relationship with this child for him to be vulnerable enough to you, with you, to say, I need help. And you were there to help and support and provide him the structure, the routine. What I heard that I loved is like, this 1 day a week will be your day, and we are going to do this 1 day a week. And so for any child, that helps establish a predictable routine. It helps to establish the expectations, and it also gives them that day to look forward to, that, hey, this is my day with my mom here, with my foster mom, to really focus on my skills. And I know she cares about me. And that makes me feel special, right? Couldn't you imagine that that's kind of the internal conversation he's having with himself, that he's worth it to work together to get these skills?
Yeah, he didn't think so at first. He was just, and sometimes he still fights with himself a little bit about, is he worth it or not? But he is, and he knows it now, and he's told me that he's going to be an engineer.
That's incredible. And I guarantee that with your support and the loving attention and, the framework that you've given to him, that he has such a bright future ahead of him.
I'm excited.
And let's also talk about, this is interesting too, is like the nutrition and the food and what it was like when the kids first came into your care, and what does family mealtime look like for them now?
Right. When they first came into my care, like a lot of foster kids that have come into my house, they had such a limited diet. Corn dogs, pizza, hot dogs, chicken nuggets. That was
like
it.
Pretty much anything you can dip into ketchup.
And
a lot of kids are like that.
Yeah. And, but they called 7-Eleven the dinner store. And that just broke my heart. And they wouldn't eat anything green. They wouldn't eat anything remotely healthy. They wouldn't even eat rice, which is, at least a little bit different than what they were doing. And over the 4 years, I currently have an 8-year-old that's going to be a cook. He's going to be a chef, not just a cook. He's going to be a chef.
He likes being in the kitchen now.
And he's trying all the foods. We're exploring. We have little jars of, what kind of food, what are we going to cook with this chicken tonight? Are we going to go India cuisine? Are we going to go Mexican cuisine? And they are eating it up. They're loving the new spices. I can say, this tastes kind of like cinnamon. Go ahead. And, they don't love everything, but it's just been such an amazing difference. These kids have such bad nutrition. One foster child that I had that wasn't this one, but one of my foster children absolutely knew that fruit snacks were the best breakfast.
Oh,
because it's fruit.
I didn't know that.
Because it's fruit and it's good for you. Give me 3 packs. And I'm just speechless about that kind of stuff. And giving the kids regular meal times and regular food, even when they didn't start eating, and I started really slow, like, here's a hot dog, here, try mustard. They hadn't even had that kind of stuff. They have really blossomed, but they were so bad before that their diet was so bad. And now they had the opportunity to find out what things are like in a non-scary situation.
And I had the pleasure of meeting your kids before, and they said, "Oh, Mom is the best cook. She makes me peanut butter toast and apples," and they went on and on. So, I think that part of being that foster parent is just running an everyday household, right? Like cooking those meals, spending time together in like your everyday routine, right? Like, what does the bedtime routine look like? What does it look like after school? Are we sitting down reading books together, right? It doesn't need to necessarily be this like magical formula. It's pretty much running through a predictable routine and adjusting to meet your children's needs along the way.
Meet them where they are. What will they listen to? What will help them? What will help remind them? Meet them where they are.
So because you said you fostered about what?
25, 27
children throughout the past 8 years. What do you do to welcome them into your home? Do you have like a specific routine or do something special to make that child feel comfortable in your care?
I do as much as I can, absolutely. The first thing I do is say, we're not scary. This is what you're going to meet when we get home. I've got puppies, I've got dogs, and there's a lot of kids at home. And the first thing I do is let them come in and see what they notice and see how they're reacting. Do they stand back by the door and are they afraid to come in? I meet them where they are, and I let them stay there for a little while and say, I'm going to show you the whole house. You're not going to be afraid of anything. You're going to look in every closet. You're going to look under every bed. You're going to see what everything is in the house, and you're going to know that there's nothing to be afraid of here.
I like that. So giving them the chance to explore, feel comfortable, find their space. And I've heard that from other foster parents too, especially our teenagers.
Yeah.
That, when you take a new child in, they might have been through other placement options too that didn't quite work out, or, they might be scared, or they might be coming straight from our Child Haven campus. And so they might not be ready to like sit down with you and gush over, their goals and their inspirations and their issues and everything, right? Like they might look a little more closed in,
very closed
and timid.
in, very like, no, I don't want anything. No, don't bother me. Don't bother with me.
Right. But then they blossom and they grow. Yeah. And when you give that support and, sometimes like we don't see it happening in the day to day, right? Like, and especially like our teenagers are like too cool for school about everything, where you might not feel that you're making a difference, but years from now, when they're a successful adult because they've had that loving care, that's when you realize, wow, what I offered to them was really special.
And you have to remember, it's the long picture. It's the long game. Even if you're just a foster parent right now, you're taking a child into your home and you're providing them something that they may not have ever had before. When you're providing them love, a bed, dinner time every day, mom being there at dinner time every day, you're providing them things that may have to last them a lifetime, because if they get reunified, they may not have it as nice. They might. They will know that things can be different. They will know that someone loves them. I always make sure that any child that comes in my house knows that I love them and that they can come back.
And so let's talk about reunification. Have you been able to help families, strengthen families, help the kids return back to their biological moms and dads? What does that look like?
I have. I've done a little bit of everything with the children that have been in my home. Currently, she's going to be reunified with family in another state. And one of the things that I did to help that was I just happened to have to go to that other state. And so I just drug her along with me on the airplane, and we went and visited her family just to remind everybody that here she is, and she's fine, and she's safe, and she's great. And so they hugged me, and they said they were so worried. They had been so worried for the last year about what was going on with her. And they see that she's okay, and they are better okay with the process for right now. And that was pretty powerful.
So it's establishing that relationship with,
Yeah,
her family.
We're all looking out for the child. We all want what's best for the child. And I mean, I want what's best for the child. If you want what's best for the child, then we're on the same team.
Yes, absolutely. And foster parents have to work on that team. You know, I think there's a misconception that every foster parent is in it to adopt, when that is not true. I think that last year our statistics showed that over 60% of our children reunified, which is really good. That is our goal, is to get children back home to their biological families. But when that is not possible, if the parent doesn't follow the court-ordered reunification plan, if they don't do the remedies that the judge has put in place, then they do become free for adoption. But I would say we've seen our numbers of reunification go up, and we know that when foster parents are supportive of those biological families, it is strong. It is powerful. You're creating a support system for that child. And the one thing that I heard you say earlier was that, I've kept in contact with these kids. And so when we host our foster parent information sessions for people that are thinking about becoming foster parents, and they're like, well, I just don't know if I could give a child back to their family and say goodbye. And it's not always goodbye.
It doesn't have to be goodbye.
Right?
Yeah, every child that comes in my home gets my phone number memorized. They know my phone number, and they know that they can always call me. Always.
And I love that story that you shared about flying out with the child to her family. And that must have just been so heartwarming. So, Laurie, thank you for everything that you're doing for this specific child, and of course the 20-something other children that you've touched their lives. So let's go on a little bit lighter. What's your favorite age to foster, and why?
6-year-old boys, because they're old enough to have an opinion, and they're young enough to be picked up if they need it. And marched back to the house.
Marching back to the house. Hey, stop climbing that tree or jumping off the playground. Let's go back and do. Let's be a little safer, right? Okay, cool. And then, what do you think are some of the biggest rewards of being a foster parent?
It's definitely not the money. That's not a reward.
Right. And just to clarify, foster parents receive a reimbursement for the cost of raising a child. It's set forth by the state of Nevada. It is not something that family services can, control. But the reimbursement is right around $23 a day. So yes, when people say, oh, foster parents are in it for the money, I say that is the biggest misconception. Like, would you do jury duty 365 days a year for the money? Absolutely not. But in this case, you are a volunteer as a foster parent.
Right. I get paid back in hugs and in pretty butterfly pictures and in macaroni necklaces. And I have so many macaroni necklaces. And I get paid back a million ways. And even I hear things from other people that pay me back. I did not know they told you that I was such a good cook. They don't tell me that.
Oh, they did. They went on and on about they love your meals.
It's just really rewarding. It's so funny. I had one little 5-year-old boy that was such a Loki. That was his nickname. His nickname was Loki. He was just a mischief maker. And I would look at him and say, "Can we please just have a good day today?" And he's like, "I don't think so." And he would go running down the stairs yelling and just being the silliest little kid ever. But it was funny how he was just so mischievous, and he could just like light up the room when he walked in the room. And man, I think I had tennis shoes on every day because I had to chase him. Some of the things are so fun, dealing with the kids and seeing them grow and offering them things that they haven't done before. Going to the beach the first time, climbing a mountain the first time. They're learning things, and we're giving them experiences that they're going to keep with them for the rest of their life. It's pretty awesome when you see somebody that can do that. And, I can go to the beach 10 times and I can take a different kid every time, and it's still the same excitement because it's the first time they've been. And it's special.
That is special. So we know there's rewards, but we know that there's stress. Mm-hmm. So what is your go-to way when you're having a stressful day?
I breathe a lot. I don't stop. And Walmart sells $500 jacuzzis that blow up in your backyard. And I sit in my jacuzzi in the backyard.
Perfect. That's great. I have also heard the last foster parent that I interviewed, Janae, she said, when things get rough, I just throw all the kids in the car and we go to Costco for the free samples and get a hot dog, and that gets everybody back on track. So, Laurie, for you, it's the Walmart blow up $500 jacuzzi,
yeah.
Right? We all, as caregivers, and people who work in child welfare, or every parent out there, we need to take time for ourselves, because if we cannot be fully present in the moment, ready to nurture the children that are in our care, if we're not ready, then it's going to reflect in how we are with the kids.
Right, it will. There are some really great local community supports that even offer things like respite care, which means kind of like time away from the children. I can say one church has a fourth Friday of the month, I believe. They will honor anybody that comes in with foster and adopted and kinship children, all the children. Just sign them in and go off and have 2 hours to yourself, and we'll watch them for you.
Yeah,
and that's
awesome.
a real big support, because that's date night.
Yeah, you still need time for your marriage and your
Yeah.
relationship. So I want to switch gears a little bit and
Sure.
talk about your role as a foster parent champion with Clark County. So tell me a little bit about the hotline that you guys run for our foster parents.
Sure. So we call people, and we're available for people to call us. When we call them, part of our job is when you are a foster parent and you've received a new placement, whether you are a licensed established foster parent or not, we will call you within the first couple days and check out and see how you're doing, if you need clothes, if you need assistance getting to WIC appointments, or if you need information on daycare or counseling or therapy or what kinds of things you may need assistance with. We are the resource. And we also provide you the resources that you need so that you can be a successful foster parent. And we are available for you. We call you once, and then if you're a licensed foster parent, we won't call you a second time to just check in on the placement, but we will call a family placement if you had to take in your family members' children last month for whatever reason. We'll call you again and say, now that you've had a chance to relax, how are things really going? Can we help you with anything? Do you need help with school? Do you need help with tutoring? Do you need help with what can we help you with to make you more successful? And I get a lot of phone calls that are, grandma is taking care of the children all of a sudden. And so I feel like I have a little bit of rapport because I am kind of an age with them so that we are able to talk from that perspective. And I am there to be their support and to help them and to let them know that when they run into questions, they don't know what to do. Oh my gosh, I can't reach my caseworker today. I have a situation. I don't know what to do about this thing. That thing happened at school. They can call us and we can troubleshoot for them. We know what the system looks like. We know whose responsibility it is, how to do things, how to report things, how to talk about things, how to get you what you need.
I love that. So, and I think what's the coolest thing about our foster parent champion hotline, you guys make those initial calls to introduce yourself and share resources that maybe the family otherwise didn't know about, and explain, who's who in the child's case plan. But I love that they can call you at any hour that the hotline is open. And so if I'm a foster parent, I'm in crisis, I know that whoever is picking up that other end is also a foster parent that may have gone through the same exact situation, or can at least help you process through what you're going through. It could be emotional support. It could be educational support. It could be support with finding the right Medicaid provider, right? It could be all of these things, but your team of foster parent champions is there to support the foster parent in any way possible, or the relative caregivers, right? Because we have over 50% of our kids go with relatives or kinship care providers, and oftentimes that is grandma
And it's
or
so
auntie.
stressful for them. They didn't have kids yesterday, and now today they have 4.
And think of how different things are,
Yeah.
right? Like, everything with school. How do I enroll a child in the school? How do I, get their Medicaid card? Who is this caseworker that's coming to my house, right? Like,
Yeah, what am I supposed to do?
what am I supposed to do? When are the court dates? Like, this is a lot for somebody to take on, especially when you think about when a child is removed from an unsafe situation. It's usually a crisis type of situation going on. So we want to get in there and try to stabilize the family and wrap them with resources. So thank you not only for being a great foster parent, but also for supporting other caregivers out there too, Laurie. Your role in that is priceless.
It's important. Some days I cry. Some days I feel empowered that I made a change. Some days I cry.
Well, how could you not? You're human.
Right. I had a foster dad call me and say, he was already crying, you could tell. And he said, I just needed to talk to somebody. How do you deal with it when they're going home and you don't want them to because you love them and you want them to with you? And I say, well, You cry. And you let them know that you love them. And you let them know that no matter what, you will always love them. And you're happy for them because they get what they want, because they get to go back to their parents. And you take a breath and you wait a minute and you do it again, because someone else needs that love too. And it was so great because in my phone calls, I actually called him back. I didn't get his name when I talked to him earlier, just, miscellaneous Dave or Mike or John, something. And I called him back and I said, hey, I see that you've got a placement. How's it going? And he's like, Laurie, it's you. Thank you so much for calling. You were the one that listened to me the other time. And I feel so much better. I felt so much better after talking to you. And look, I have a new placement.
And he had more love to give. Mm-hmm. So I love that. Let's wrap up this conversation. Sure. It's been so wonderful to have you in our Courageous Caregiver podcast. And you certainly are courageous, especially for caring for 25 plus kids and a child who has special needs, hearing impaired. For anybody that's out there thinking about becoming a foster parent, what is your message to them?
Someone needs you. Someone needs you, and you can make a difference. And I can't say much more than that because I'll just break down.
Thank you, Laurie. Thank you for your very honest, full, and giving heart.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, we're get us some Kleenex here in the Foster Leader podcast. As you've heard, and you hear every episode of our podcast, we do need foster caregivers. It can be as easy as just saying yes, giving it a test. We give you training. We give you support systems. We do everything we can to make sure that you are equipped to help that child reach their full potential. I encourage anyone who's ever thought about it to take action and at least take the first step. Go to clarkcountyfostercare.com, register for an information session, come and meet our team, ask your questions, watch more videos of our podcast, and if you know a caregiver, thank them for the wonderful work that they're doing. And we will see you next time.